All right, good morning. Uh, okay. As I'm sure you know, generally markets are lower after yesterday's end of day little selling bout. And yeah, as I posted a few things there that suggest historically that we're getting closer to a low point. And today is ideal that is going down. Uh, I posted in the Telegram channels. I'd have to get I didn't post it here. You can. Interestingly, was one of, I think it was the first day that we had the put call ratios closing at a extreme we've seen at low points. Close, meaning they're close. It doesn't mean today's the low. It's just when you see this type of options activity, and we've seen it right along, meaning um, what we've seen over the last, I guess, a week or a little bit more. And I've said, hey, wow, look at what the extreme put strike is. It's like they are really willing to pay up for that protection, believe that the markets are going to crash. And sometimes, of course, it could be right, and get further and further to the downside. And today, it's even further. And what's interesting is it's doing that, and oil isn't even going up. I mean, it's up a little bit, but you can see the chart there. It's really not moving up very much. And now, if it does do that, and we're going to keep an eye on this today, if crude oil should break out, I mean, above 100 with some conviction where it starts moving up, I think then the markets go down and we get that low point coming in pretty close. So keep an eye on oil, keep an eye on USO to see what that is doing. Its direction right now, it's directionless within an uptrend. So it's interesting that the markets are pushing lower here. For what reason? And anticipation of oil spiking higher, and it's not happening yet. Maybe it could be just that, you know, as the market sold off yesterday, now they're just, hey, this thing's going to go down. And so, there's the spiders. It certainly doesn't look good. As you can see, it's gapping a pretty decent amount below the 200 MA, and it's gapping down like that without oil moving up. Interest rates are moving up, though. So there's plenty of bad things going on, but how bad is it going to get is the real question. Um, and so while we can't definitively say, hey, this is how bad it's going to get, major support is down there. And so it was here for the longest time. It broke. So now major support is down here, right? Give or take 650, whatever, 55, 650. And yeah, I'm gonna send the Marines there. I don't know. I mean, the Navy's there. What are they gonna do? What are the Marines gonna do? Go in the water and look for bombs? Maybe, I suppose. I don't know. No idea. So look, wherever it's gonna go, if it's gonna come down here and already knowing um, that there was an extreme amount of puts being bought, and the put extreme being where it's at. So here it is. Your worst, you know, projections are happening here. Well, if oil goes up and things are going down and it reaches support, it could even push a little bit below it. I mean, it's all baked in the cake, so to speak. And we know what's going to happen. It's going to make a vicious turn, wherever that might be. And we're going to be sitting there waiting. So, as you can see, it's gapping down here below the 200. Um, unfilled gap, nothing really going on here other than speculation of the worst. And we'll see if it bounces up for a gap fill or chops around to go lower. That's what we'll be looking for. All right. SPX. Now, this is interesting. I got to scrunch this up a little bit. Right? It's way down there. Right? I think I forget how many points it moved down. I'm just looking, checking the numbers again. Yeah, yeah. 64.05. Here's major support. And so day to day, most days it doesn't go to either extreme, but it's moving under the 200 MA. There's an obvious place for it to go down to. We'll see if it does. Of course, it might move up to fill the gap and then roll back over again. This is where sellers will be, and this is where buyers will be. Right? So again, it's gapping here. The buyers are waiting down there, and the sellers are waiting up there. So, you know, yeah, it's gapping on a whole number. We'll see how much that is meaningful, or whether it tries to drag it back or whatever. Um, like I said, where's the real buyers going to be? Down here at 65.50. And that's where the real sellers are going to be, because that's where resistance is and that's where support is. And those are the focal points. And unless unless oil is shooting up above $100, it will not get anywhere near down there today. Options expiration, they're already making humongous bearish bets. And so that is going to put a floor under the markets. And we just continue to watch our 5 and 15-minute charts, our tick, our NYSE tick, and do what we do on a day-to-day basis. Okay. Now let's see where other markets are gapping. And so here's the cues. They're gapping below the 200 MA. Major support isn't too far off there, 585. This is where the void is. And so we'll see if buyers are going to defend this, whether they can push it back up to fill the gap. Overall, just a lot of whippy price action and nasty, just nasty patterns. Just the kind of stuff you don't want to get involved in. This is just too erratic. Look at the futures quickly. I can see they're pushing down below the lows a little bit there, and it does have room to fall. I don't know if that's real. Maybe it went down there overnight. Um, yeah, it did. So as a focal point, as far as overnight trading, it is down there, and futures traders will consider that as it's moving down, trend down. V-Bucks asked me current SPX numbers. Oh, if they've moved, I see 64.10, 64.15-ish as it's moving around. So as you know, these things move relatively quickly within minutes. So I see SPY hasn't moved much, and it's just hanging down there at the low. So these numbers, give or take, they move pretty quick. So some little stabilization, and it's pointing out to me that this number now is 15, and the other number would be 66.85. Yeah. So there you have it. Not much of a difference either way. unless some major news comes out, it's not getting to either one of those. Okay. Um, the Russell heading lower, and my cursor it's basically it's within the void. So the 200 is subjective. 200 isn't lined up with anything, but you want to be aware of that. If it gets down to the 200 MA, Bitcoin is falling apart. I'll get to YM. I don't want to say Bitcoin. It's still within a trading range, but clearly that beginning to move up toward the 50 has now failed, and that's coming back down again. Everything's coming down. Diamonds yesterday closed under the 200 MA, and that's going lower, and it is headed toward that major support. Stupid line on Zoom has got over my. You get the. Anyway, I can't click something. You go. You see, it's almost there. So watch the diamonds getting down there to that major support level. It's been leading the way down. Let's look at the VIX because this hasn't been moving up, and it turned up yesterday. Where is it? 27 and a half. We'll want to know if it gets up near 30 or so. So we'll watch that in the green room today. We'll see how many things line up with some type of capitulation. These things aren't lifting up here pre-market. There's YM moving down. So you want to watch the underlying really for their support and resistance levels. Futures traders will look at what futures traders look at, but the majority of everyone else will be looking at the underlying for reference points. But now under the 200 MA, spiders under the 200 MA, Qs for the moment under the 200 MA, and put call ratios going up. Everybody's getting nervous. We looked at crude oil, and silver is getting killed. So at this point, I would think, well, the dollar's been going higher. Look at interest rates, but silver's coming down. So the party is over there. Gold is getting annihilated here, going down. Um, you can see the dollar, right, which was basically right, written off for going to nothing, has been ripping higher. And you can see the euro right, has just been getting smashed since the dollar's been going up, and the British pound, right, holding up a little bit better, but that's been going down as well. Now, interest rates, and we talked about it was coming down to this major support, and it blipped up a little bit, and now bonds are getting sold off. So everything is getting sold. Seems like panic is setting in here. And so inflation, stagflation, fear, put call ratios, going much higher. And things are probably going to be moved pretty fast. And look, I think, well, initial thought until I see things myself, maybe reach some kind of crescendo on the downside, I think I'm just going to sit back and wait for them to reach those support areas and then wait to see how the turn begins. Um, just looking at some other, you know, followed, well followed. This is holding up. So we're going to see how the mags hold up here. Um, I haven't even gotten into gappers yet. And so Google, gapping down under there, not a big deal. Now, interesting, NVIDIA, they're having their conference and nothing's happening there. That's gapping down toward the 200, but within this giant mess. And Amazon, that was starting to make a turn and down on some support. Microsoft, gapping down. Everything's gapping down. Uh, Netflix had some write up today. I saw it, I didn't read it, but some positive mentions. We'll keep an eye on that to see how it does. Um, and IGV, these ones that showed this strength and so far holding up relatively well. It's still gapping lower, but holding up relatively well. We're going to look to see if it can make a higher low, some kind of a bottom, as markets do reach a point where traders, institutions feel like whatever happens, we're just going to have to buy some here and step in because things go too far too fast. CRM, holding up relatively well. So all of these stocks that were beaten down based on AI and had this strong move up during this time, some more than others, and they're chopping around here or they make a higher low, those are going to be the ones that we want to see with how they react when they make a turn. Yeah. Is that thing coming to life again? Okay, it's gapping up right into resistance, but we'll see how it holds up. Remember the news here, right? It started this move up. There was this buy set up, and then it just collapsed again. So I think these vehicles, I'm not interested in an electric car, but I think they're one of the nicest electric cars, the SUVs. And I see Amazon uses them for their delivery trucks. So it would appear that this is an electric car company that isn't going to go away. We'll see what the news is on this that's gapping it up like that. But at some point, I think this will be an outperformer, and this kind of crazy volatility will eventually calm down, and it'll trend as more confidence comes into it. Let's see, bonds. Those are that's the 30-year, which isn't talked about as much in the 10-year, breaking down as well. And you know, interest rates spiking, and it's probably more the interest rates that are moving up that are getting the markets more riled up, more fearful, and we'll see if this continues to push up. So, a lot of things to keep an eye on and to see, give us some insights as to uh, some climactic sell-offs or capitulation and turns. And I said at the beginning of the week, options expiration. And unless oil begins to rip higher, it's going to be like trying to push, a balloon, under the water in the pool, and it's going to pop up. So while it's selling off a bit here, unless the price of oil starts rocketing, odds are it'll flip down and it's going to flip back up again. And we're going to have more of this sloppy whipsaws going on there. So with that being said, I'm going to close down this. Unless anybody got anything they want to look at, so I can open it up on my other platform. Um, see what else might be moving. It's active today. Uh, all right. Let me get set up on my other machine for the open. I'll be right back. I'm going to leave that like that for now. We can see what's happening here pre-market. Yeah, what Alex said. The good thing is, I don't know if he's still in the room. He's still here. The doctor was concerned with, I guess, the gallstones or gallbladder and whatever that, I guess, that can clog things against the different. I think what you have bile that feeds into the liver for digestion of fat, and when you get gallstones, as problems happen, they can block, I guess, that they ducts or whatever they call them that feed that bile into the liver. And they did an MRI on that, and they found it was good. So that was great news. So now, they go in there and take out the bad character, the gallbladder, and like any surgery, it's going to be uncomfortable, and you move on. Gratefully, it's not a type of thing that is, kind of like my pacemaker thing. It's like it happens every day that somebody needs a surgery like that, and you go do it, and it's uncomfortable for a couple of days or whatever, and you move on with your life. Yes, and he said that the doc, repeating what Dan has told me, that the doctor said it wasn't. He said it was very painful that night. I guess they're just painful things, but he said that it was good that they caught it at an early stage. Futures are bouncing around. In Qs closer to support. They're on a futures hit a pivot line and bounced off of there. You know, the old, when I said Pavlov's dogs are waiting on those pivot lines, and bounced up a little bit, came right back down again. So sellers are not going away. S&P's similar action. They all pretty much did the same thing. There was a bounce. They came right back down again. Oil's not doing much of anything. Interest rates, well, bonds keep inching lower ever so slowly. Yeah, exactly, Patrick. All right. Let me say bye here.